My name is Claire. 3 years ago, I stood in our luxurious kitchen holding a positive pregnancy test, my heart overflowing with hope. An hour later, my husband slammed divorce papers on the table and said, "You're a burden." He laughed when I told him I was pregnant, until the day I walked into his wedding holding two little hands, and the entire room went silent. Before I share my story, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe if you've ever overcome a challenge you thought was impossible. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next. The smell of rosemary lamb filled our Manhattan penthouse as I set the table with trembling hands. 3 years. 3 years of hormone shots, failed IVF cycles, and crushing disappointment. But tonight was different. The pregnancy test tucked in my pocket proved it. 2 pink lines that meant everything. I'd practiced telling Patrick a dozen times in the mirror. Would he cry? Would he spin me around like he used to when we first met at Mount Sinai, where I worked as a nurse and he visited for board meetings? The elevator dinged. My heart raced. Patrick walked in, loosening his tie, his face carved from stone. No kiss, no, "Honey, I'm home." Just silence that pressed against my chest. "We need to talk, Claire." The words hit like ice water. I gripped the back of a chair. "Patrick, I have something. I want a divorce." The room tilted. "What?" He poured himself scotch, not meeting my eyes. "You're a burden, Claire. You don't fit in my world anymore. The galas, the connections, you just stand there like wallpaper. My partner's wives speak 3 languages. You still pronounce foie gras wrong." My knees buckled. "But I gave up my career for you. And I'm compensating you for that. $50,000. More than fair, considering everything's in my name." He slid papers across the marble counter. "The accounts are frozen as of this morning. You have 30 days to vacate." Tears burned my eyes. My hand found my pocket. "Patrick, I'm pregnant." He laughed, actually laughed. "Nice try, but that's impossible." He swirled his scotch. "I had a vasectomy 7 months ago, right after the Whitmore merger started." The test fell from my hand, clattering on the floor. 2 pink lines staring up at us like an accusation. His face darkened. "Don't even think about claiming it's mine. I'll destroy you in court." The door slammed. I stood alone in his kitchen, holding a positive pregnancy test while my marriage dissolved like sugar in rain. The lamb continued cooking, filling the space with a smell that would forever remind me of the night I became nothing. The Greyhound bus smelled like desperation and cheap coffee. $500 left after the ticket to Dover, Vermont, the town I'd spent 18 years trying to escape. My designer heels, the ones Patrick bought for our anniversary, pinched with each step off the bus. Mom's face when she opened the door said everything. No hug, no welcome home, just a tight smile and, "I told you so" written all over your face, Claire Elizabeth. "Mom, please, just for a few weeks." "No." She glanced at my swollen belly, now 5 months along. "You chose him over family. Now you deal with consequences." The door clicked shut. I dragged my suitcase down Main Street, past Murphy's Hardware where I'd worked summers, past the church where I'd dreamed of escaping. The old gas station at the edge of town had a "for rent" sign. Peeling paint, broken window, $400 a month. Still more than I could afford, but the landlord took pity. Maybe it was the tears. Maybe it was the belly. That first night, I ate crackers on a mattress I'd found at Goodwill, counting my remaining money. No health insurance, no job prospects. Nobody hires pregnant women in small towns. The bathroom tap dripped a rhythm. "You're a failure. You're a failure." By week 2, I was stealing day-old bread from behind the grocery store, shame burning hotter than hunger. My Manhattan friends had vanished like smoke. Texts unanswered, calls ignored. Patrick had painted his narrative well, the crazy ex-wife who tried to trap him with another man's baby. "Claire? Claire Donovan?" I froze, bread in hand, ready to run. Maya Cooper stood there, hemp grocery bags over her shoulder. High school felt like centuries ago, but her smile remained unchanged. "It is you! I heard you were back." Her eyes found my belly, my torn coat, the bread. No judgment crossed her face. "You know, I run an organic farm now. Could use help with the harvest. Cash pay, under the table." Pride wanted to refuse. The baby kicked, reminding me pride was a luxury I couldn't afford. "When do I start?" The first real storm hit in my 31st week. Maya's truck fishtailed on black ice as contractions ripped through me. The wipers fought a losing battle against the snow. Hold on, Claire. Just hold on. Maya's knuckles were white on the wheel. But my body had other plans. The rural hospital materialized through the blizzard like salvation. And within hours, 2 boys arrived. So small, they fit in my palms, their skin translucent, showing veins like tiny rivers. The NICU became my world. Machines breathed for them. Tubes fed them. I pumped milk every 3 hours, watching other mothers hold their full-term babies while mine fought behind plastic walls. They're fighters, Dr. Martinez said. Like their mom. I laughed bitterly. Fighters? I was hiding in Vermont, making cheese for cash, stealing bread. Some fighter. My phone buzzed. Patrick's name made my stomach clench. Heard about the births. Don't put my name on anything. I'll sue for fraud. You know I have the lawyers for it. I wanted to throw the phone. Instead, I walked to the NICU, pressed my hand against the incubator. Mommy's going to build you a better world, I whispered. I don't know how, but I promise. Evan opened his eyes. The first time. Gray like storm clouds, like mine. His tiny finger wrapped around mine with surprising strength. That touch changed everything. Not dramatically, not instantly, but fundamentally. These weren't just babies. They were my reason to stop running, stop hiding, stop accepting crumbs. Maya found me there at dawn, still watching them breathe. You know, she said quietly, my grandmother used to make artisan cheese, sold it to fancy restaurants in Boston. I still have her equipment. I looked at her, really looked. Why are you helping me? Because once upon a time, someone helped me when my world fell apart. She squeezed my shoulder. Plus your grilled cheese at the farm, best I've ever had. There's something there, Claire, something worth exploring. The twins slept on, unaware their mother was about to transform from victim to warrior, one wheel of cheese at a time. The borrowed kitchen smelled like possibility. At 3 a.m., while the twins slept in their bassinets, I experimented with Maya's grandmother's recipes. Gouda, cheddar, brie, each failure taught me something new. Temperature, timing, patience. My hands, which once inserted IVs and comforted patients, now worked milk into art. There was honesty in it, simplicity. Cheese didn't lie or leave. It simply became what you nurtured it to be. You need to see this, Maya burst in one morning, phone extended. My TikTok video, me stirring curds while bouncing a crying Evan in a carrier, had exploded overnight. 47,000 views. Comments flooded in. Real mama hustling. Where can I buy this? The cheese looks amazing, but those babies. The first order came that afternoon, then another. My PayPal, dormant for months, pinged with notifications. But success brought new problems. The borrowed kitchen had limited hours. The twins needed formula to supplement, and formula cost money. Equipment cost money. Everything cost money I didn't have. There's a grant, Maya mentioned over coffee. Women in Agriculture Initiative, $30,000 for small businesses, due next week. I stared at the application for hours. Business plan, financial projections, marketing strategy. What did I know about any of that? I'd been a trophy wife who couldn't pronounce French foods correctly. But I wrote. Fueled by exhaustion and desperation, I wrote about cheese as transformation. Milk into sustenance, failure into purpose. I wrote about single mothers, about small farms, about building something real in a world of facades. The night before submission, Oliver developed a fever. Hospital visits, sleepless vigils, fear clawing at my throat. I submitted the application from the NICU waiting room, typos and all. 3 weeks later, the call came. I'd won. Silver Birch Creamery, I told the woman on the phone, naming it after the trees outside the abandoned gas station. That's the company name. Patrick's wedding invitation arrived the same day. Cream cardstock, gold embossing. Patrick Vaughn and Amelia Whitmore request the honor of your presence. I fed it to the cheese aging room's furnace. The flames turned it to ash, but ash makes good fertilizer. I had work to do. 3 years changes everything. The twins ran through our small production facility, their laughter echoing off stainless steel. Silver Birch Creamery had grown from borrowed kitchen to a real business, supplying restaurants across Vermont and New Hampshire, but the invitation haunted me. You're not seriously considering going? Maya watched me reread Patrick's wedding details for the 100th time. Newport, Rhode Island. The Breakers mansion? Everything Patrick had wanted when we married, except I'd insisted on a small ceremony at my childhood church. I need to go, I said finally. Not for him, for me. The black dress still fit, though differently now. My body had carried twins, built a business, learned strength has nothing to do with size. The boys wore tiny suits from Target, Oliver spinning to make his jacket fly while Evan practiced his serious face. Walking into the Breakers felt like entering another dimension. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, and people who looked through me until they saw the boys. Then whispers started. Is that the ex-wife? Bold of her. Patrick stood at the altar with Amelia Whitmore, heiress, philanthropist, everything I wasn't. She looked like she'd been carved from marble and privilege. But when Oliver's voice carried during the vows, "Mama, is that Daddy?" the entire room froze. Patrick's face went white. Amelia's smile flickered. The photographer kept shooting as 2 3-year-olds stared at a man they'd seen only in hidden photos on my phone. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt empty. This whole world, the gold, the glamour, the carefully curated perfection. It was all cardboard. Beautiful, expensive cardboard. We should go, I whispered to the boys. But Amelia appeared at my elbow during the reception. Claire, might we talk? Her eyes held something I didn't expect. Understanding. We stepped onto a balcony overlooking the ocean. I know about the boys, she said quietly. About everything. Patrick's financial creativity, the gambling, the debts he's hidden using your social security number, claiming you and the twins as dependents on taxes. My wine glass slipped. She caught it. I'm not your enemy, Amelia continued. In fact, I think we might be able to help each other. The cafe Amelia chose was deliberately public. Newport's elite filled nearby tables, making threats impossible and honesty necessary. Patrick owes the IRS $2 million, she said simply. He's been cooking books for years. Your name is all over his fraudulent filings. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. What? She slid a folder across the table. Tax returns I'd never seen, claiming childcare expenses for boys Patrick denied existed. Business losses written off against a company registered to my social security number. Why are you showing me this? Amelia's perfect composure cracked. Because 2 weeks ago, I found out about the vasectomy reversal he had 6 months after your divorce. The fertility clinic bills hidden in offshore accounts. He's been trying to get me pregnant while denying your children exist. The pieces clicked. Patrick hadn't just left me. He'd orchestrated my destruction while planning his next move. I have forensic accountants, Amelia continued. The best lawyers money can buy. But I need your cooperation. Every document, every text, every threat. What's in it for you? You already married him. Her laugh was bitter. A Whitmore woman scorned is bad for business. A Whitmore woman who exposes corruption? That's a headline worth having. She paused. Plus, I believe in justice, and your boys deserve a father who doesn't pretend they're invisible. Within weeks, the empire Patrick built began crumbling. IRS investigations, fraud charges. His company's board voted him out before the indictments hit. Newspapers ran the story with our wedding photo, the one where I'd looked at him like he hung the moon. But the real shock came when Amelia's first order arrived. 10,000 units of silver birch cheese for her charity gala supporting single mothers. Consider it an investment, her note read. In both our futures. Maya found me crying over that note. Not sad tears, but the kind that come when you realize your biggest devastation led to your greatest deliverance. Patrick's fall made headlines. My rise made history. Vermont Business Magazine featured silver birch on its cover. From ashes to empire, how Claire Donovan built a cheese dynasty. The boys started pre-K that fall. When asked about their father, they said, "We have Mama, Maya, and lots of cheese. That's enough." It was more than enough. Success tastes different when you've been hungry. Silver Birch Creamery occupied a renovated barn, employed 15 people, and shipped nationwide. The twins had health insurance, college funds, and a mother who knew her worth wasn't tied to any man's opinion. The email came on a Tuesday. Claire, I need to see them, please. Patrick lived in a studio apartment now, court-ordered restitution eating what the IRS hadn't taken. Part of me wanted to delete it, let him taste the abandonment he'd served me. But Evan had started asking questions. Oliver drew pictures of families with a blank space where fathers belonged. Supervised visits only, I texted back. Public place, 1 hour. Burlington Park, Sunday afternoon. Patrick looked older, grayer, smaller, somehow, without his suits and swagger. The boys hid behind my legs, suddenly shy. Hey guys, he said softly. I'm your dad. Oliver, brave like always, stepped forward. Why did you leave us? I watched Patrick's face crumble. Whatever speech he'd prepared dissolved. Because I was scared and stupid, he said finally. Because I thought money and success mattered more than family. I was wrong. Evan tugged my hand. Is he lying, Mama? I don't know, baby. That's for you to decide. They played, awkwardly at first, then with growing ease. Patrick pushed swings, caught them at the slide's bottom, bought ice cream that dripped on his last decent shirt. He didn't complain. Claire, he said as our hour ended, I know I destroyed everything. I know forgiveness isn't possible. But thank you for letting me see who I threw away. The boys fell asleep in the car, chocolate on their faces, grass stains on their knees. My phone buzzed. Another order from Whole Foods, an invitation to speak at a women's entrepreneurship conference, Life Moving Forward. But I pulled over, watching my son sleep, and let myself feel the whole journey. The penthouse kitchen where I'd stood with a positive test. The bus that smelled like defeat. The NICU where I'd promised them the world. The cheese vat where I'd found myself. Patrick would be their father, limited, supervised, earning trust one Sunday at a time. But I would be their example. That falling isn't failing unless you stay down. The biggest mistake of my life became my greatest opportunity. 2,000 faces stared back from the TED Talk audience. Somehow, the girl who couldn't pronounce foie gras was teaching entrepreneurs about resilience. When you lose everything, you discover what everything really means. For me, it wasn't the Manhattan penthouse or designer clothes. It was 2 premature babies who needed their mother to stop being a victim and start being a victor. The slides showed it all. The abandoned gas station, the first wheel of cheese, the twins helping package orders, then the Forbes cover. America's most inspiring entrepreneur. Silver Birch Creamery partnered with Whitmore Foundation last year to create Margaret's Promise, microgrants for single mothers starting businesses. Because sometimes the best partnerships come from the most unexpected places. Amelia smiled from the front row. We'd become unlikely friends, bonded by shared experience and mutual respect. Her investment had transformed Silver Birch from regional success to national brand. They say success is the best revenge, I continued. But I disagree. Success is when revenge becomes irrelevant, when you're too busy building to worry about who tried to tear you down. The boys sat with Maya, Oliver making faces while Evan took serious notes in his dinosaur notebook. At 7, they were confident, kind, curious. Their father saw them monthly now, slowly earning what he'd thrown away. Today, Silver Birch employs 200 people across 3 states. We've helped launch 47 woman-owned businesses. And yes, I smiled at the camera, I can pronounce foie gras perfectly now, though I still prefer a good Vermont cheddar. The audience laughed, applauded, rose to their feet. Backstage, a young woman approached, baby on her hip, tears streaming. My husband left last month. I thought my life was over. But you showed me it might just be beginning. I hugged her, remembering another woman who'd once thought the same thing. Rock bottom makes a solid foundation, I told her. Build something beautiful on it. The boys ran over, Silver Birch Creamery t-shirts covered in signatures from other speakers. Mama, Oliver announced, when I grow up, I want to be brave like you. Me too, Evan added quietly. I knelt down, pulling them close. You already are, my loves. You already are.
Never let anyone define your worth. Sometimes, what feels like the end is actually the foundation for a brilliant new beginning. Believe in yourself, because the greatest strength lies within you.